frequent item set, and only 5 out of 33 have done. Send me the snapshot. Just now I got 2 responses. And what about others? No. So with C3, that is when we consider 3 items, we got I1, I2, I3 and I1, I2, I5, isn't it? With 3, you would have got this. With frequency 2 and support equal to 22.2%. What is this frequent item set? You ended up here. When you considered 4, you didn't get a support value, I guess. So we have done with this. Now we have to form rules for I'll show for one and you will do it for the other. This one I'll take. Then other thing is an exercise. You will do it and send it to me immediately right now. Okay, and those who will send, they will be the one who will get attendance for today's class. Simply, I cannot give attendance for just switching on the logging in and keeping your mobile or laptop somewhere else. Okay, let me show for this I1, I2, I5, and for this you will generate and show me, and I'll verify the answers, and I'll tell you what whether it's right or wrong. Okay, so when you have 3 items, how do you form rules? So for that, we'll take first, we'll consider I1, I2. If a person purchase I1, I2, he tends to purchase I5 as well. This is one rule. Okay. Then after forming the rules, we should find the confidence. And confidence, if it is less than 70, then we will reject it. So that particular rule won't apply. Whatever we thought is wrong, that rule won't apply. So I1, I2, the person who tends to buy, am I audible and is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if a person buys I1, I2, he tends to buy I5 as well. Now, if at all, if he buys, now with this I1, I5, then he tends to buy I2. Now, if a person buys I2, I5, he tends to buy I1. This is K. F of K minus 1 comma F of K minus 1 method it is. We'll discuss that. First, I thought I'll show you this problem, then we'll discuss. We are going backward now. After discussing all those things, you should have solved this problem. But simply if I say like that, you will not be able to understand. Now, as you know, to solve the problem, if I will explain those methods, you can apply for this and you will remember very well. So if at all, so this is considered as, if you consider this as the K item, this will be K minus 1, K minus 2, isn't it? So it's the same way. So by applying F of K minus 1, K minus 1 method for candidate generation, what we do is first we take these two and we say the person who tends to buy I1, I2 also tends to buy I2. Then we'll consider I1, I5. Then he tends to buy I2. Then I2, I5. That's all. We don't have any other items to club it. So I1, I2 tends to I5. Then we'll leave this I2, I1, I5, then I2, and this I2, I5, I1. Now we'll take one candidate. So if we buy I1, if a person buys I1, he tends to buy I2, I5. Now we'll take this I2. If a person buys I2, he tends to buy I1, I5. Always, whatever items you choose should be in lexicographic order, that is alphabetical order. If it is numbers, it should be in this ascending order. Now, I5, it tends to buy I1, I2. These are the rules which are formed now. So if we consider buying 2 items, the left out item is 5. If they buy 1, 5, then they tend to buy I2 also, I2, I5, I1. And if at all, if one item means he should buy I2, I5, If he buys I2, he'll buy I1, I5 also. If he buys I5, he buys I1, I2 as well. Now, we should find confidence for this. You all know what is confidence, isn't it? Last problem we have solved. It's nothing but support of these three divided by support of these two, left hand side. Support of union. If you consider this as A and B, it is support of A union B divided by support of A, right? Now, yeah, you tell me now, what is support of I1, I2, I5? Because I don't have the values here. Those I have solved can just tell me. I1, I2, I5 together, support value. You have it? Can someone tell me I1, I2, I5? Here only it is visible. I1,
Yes,
I2,
ma'am.
I5.
44%.
So it is confidence is nothing but support. Okay, 2 by 9, isn't it? So 2 is the for I1, I2, the here this is the frequency. So it is 2. How many transactions you can find I1, I2, I5? You should check. Divided by support of A. Okay. Yeah, tell me how much you got? Someone said
44%, ma'am.
1 second. How it will be 44%? I'll just tell you. Support of I1, I2, I5 you check. I1, I2, I5.
I1, I2, I5 is 22%, ma'am.
No, you go to the first table. Okay. There, in how many transactions you have this I1, I2, I5, that you check.
2, ma'am.
Yeah, it is 2. 2 and how many 3-item transactions you have, you check. Because we are considering 3 items, isn't it? So how many 3-item transactions you have in the main table, you just check and tell. One second. I'll clarify this for you all. So union of I1, I2, I5 is in how many transactions I1, I2, I5 is present. So it is in 2 transactions. Now support of A alone means I1, I2. In how many transactions I1, I2 is available? That you check in the main table. Should I write on that here? So we have transactions 1, 2,
4, ma'am.
Yes, correct. 7, 8, 9. So items purchased will be I1, I2, I5. Then we have I2, I4. Then I2, I3. Then I1, I2, I4. I1, I3, I2, I3, I1, I3, I1, I2, I3, I5, and then I1, I2, I3. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. This is I1, I2, I5 in how many transactions? 1 and 2 divided by I1, I2 in how many transactions? So you can have I1, I2. It's already there in C2 pair. You can take from there as well. Here also you can take. You need not have to take this. If you have, you can look into the main table or to the 2 items table. You have I1, I2. Frequency is 4, isn't it? So you have frequency 4 there. If you will check C2 table, if you have done it, I1, I2 frequency is 4. Okay. Those have solved the problem. you can take from there. So I1, I2, I5 you are getting here 2, and you have C2 where I1, I2 frequency is 4. So taking that, you'll get the confidence as how much? 2 by 4 is 50%. Yeah. No response at all.
Yes, ma'am.
You got it? How we did this? So it's nothing but I1,
Yes,
I2,
ma'am.
I5 frequency, which is 2, that is the support value. So, we call this as, okay, frequency 2 divided by I1, I2. I1, I2 is nothing but, in C2 you can get that, it is 4. So 2 by 4 is 50%. The same way, I1, I5, I2 is nothing but 2. We have just rearranged this. So it is 2 again divided by I1, I5. What's the frequency of I1, I5? Just check your C2 table and tell me. I1, I5, because if you take this, you will have to
2.
calculate. Yes, 2.
2, ma'am.
Yes, 2. So confidence is 100%. For the next one, 2 by, support value will be same. We have calculated here already. Only this will change. Because this only we have just done combinations here. So support will be same for the whole thing. Only this left side will differ, and that you have to tell me here. For this, I2, I5.
2 again.
Yes, 2
2.
again. Correct. So it is 100%. Now, for this again it is 2 divided by I1. I1 alone. You have it in first frequent item set with one items we considered. You would have considered I1, I2, I3, I4, I5. What?
6,
Yeah,
ma'am.
how much? 6, right. So confidence will be 33.3%. For this I2,
7.
7. So it will be around
20.
29%. Yes. Now for this last one,
2.
I1, yeah. So it is 100%. So which are the rules which we can keep and others we can discard? We discard these rules because their confidence is less than 70%, and we will take these 3 rules. What are the 3 rules we have got? The person who buys I1, I5 also tends to buy I2, and person who buys I2, I5 can also buy I1, and person who buys I5 alone will also tend to buy I1, I2. These 3 rules holds good here for this particular combination. Okay. In the same way, I1, I2, I5 I took, and I have done this. Same way, do it for this. For the first one you do, and tell me the answer. Confident. Do it and immediately you tell me here itself. For I1, I2, I3, you form rules like in the same way and calculate the confidence and tell me which rule applies and which rule will not. I have the solution. I'll immediately reply for you. Yes. I'll give you 5 minutes.
Ma'am, all are 50%, ma'am.
All 50%.
Yes,
Just
ma'am.
check. With 2 and with 1 as well.
Yes, ma'am. Both are, ma'am.
For I1, I2, 2 items, all are 50 here. Or all 6 are 50.
All 6 are 50, ma'am.
How?
No, the first 3 are 50.
Yes. Then last 3?
33, 29, and 33.
Yes. That's right. Just check once. Because
Okay.
just check with the other values. So this will be 2 by 4, 2 by 4, 2 by 4, 2 by 6, 2 by 7, and 2 by 6. So it will be 50, 50, 50, 33.3, 29, and 33.3. Okay. So it's one of the important problem which is frequently asked in your externals as well as will be asked in your internals. I don't want you to copy and write. I want you people to solve it individually without looking into anything. Okay, any doubts with this problem? I1, I2, I3, we can form these rules. I1, the person who tends to buy I1, who buys I1, I2 tends to buy I3, and the person who buys I1, I3 tends to buy I2, and then I2, I3 tends to buy I1. If we consider one, I1 tends to buy I2, I3, and I2 means he will buy I1, I3, and I3 he'll buy I1, I2. And the frequency we'll consider by using the tables. So we will have 2 by 4 and 2 by 4. Then we have again for this we have 2 by 4, 2 by 6, 2 by 7 and 2 by 6, and many have sent me the answers. So we will have 50%, 50, 50. So this is 33.3, 29 and 33.3. Now, which are the rules which holds good now here in this case? For the second case, which rule can we accept here? Which rule can we accept? Anybody?
Nothing, ma'am.
Yes. Why?
The confidence they have asked for is 100.
Yes. The confidence, whatever is asked, is for 70%, not 100. It's 70% in the question. Hence, we will not be able to accept any rules for this item generation, frequent item set generation. We cannot form any rule. That's because the confidence is less than 70%. So we have only 3 out of the problem, whatever we have solved today. So a person who buys I1, I5 tends to buy I2, I2, I5 tends to buy I1, and the one who buys I5 tends to buy I1, I2 as well. So that's the problem. Fine. Any doubts with this? Any doubts? Now you are sending after I'll ask, after I'll tell, after I'll scold you, then only you'll send me the answers. Otherwise, no. Now I'm receiving the snapshots. That should not be the case. Once I give you some question, you have to answer and send it to me, whether I'll ask or not. That's how you should be sincere with your teacher. Okay. Okay, so candidate generation. Let's move on. Now, if you don't have any, would you like to solve one more problem, or we'll move on to the next topic? Because this type of problem you will have one in your exams, which will fetch you more marks, as it is very much important. Yeah. We'll move on to the next topic.